Right now in South Korea, the dating scene is not just a battlefield. It is a high-stakes auction where the currency is not just cash but your very soul and social dignity. Imagine a woman who has it all on paper. She is a high-ranking city official in Seoul, which in that corner of the world is like winning the stability lottery. She is smart, she is successful, and she is a committed vegan. She goes on a reality show to find love, and the moment the conversation turns to the bill, she drops a bomb that basically resets the entire internet. She looks the camera dead in the eye and says that if a man even suggests splitting the bill, she loses all feelings instantly. Even if that man is the most handsome person on the planet, a guy literally famous for being the pinnacle of physical perfection, she would dump him on the spot for even thinking about sharing the cost of a meal. Can you imagine the sheer audacity? It is like being offered a free ride in a luxury supercar, but refusing to get in because the driver asked you to help pay for the bridge toll. It is a total contradiction that makes you wonder if we have collectively lost our minds. But why would someone who is clearly intelligent and successful actually demand this? Why would she go on national television and basically set her own dating life on fire? When you dig into the messy reality of it, you realize it is not about the $20 for a salad. It is about a desperate clawing need for validation. In a society that is hyper-competitive, where everyone is constantly comparing themselves to their neighbors, the act of a man paying the full bill has become the final remaining proof of a woman's worth. In her head, if she pays even a single cent, she has lost her power. She views herself as the prize that the man has to win, and the dinner bill is just the entry fee for the privilege of her company. It is a cold, hard calculation wrapped in the language of romance. She claims she hates men who are calculating, but she is the one sitting there with a mental spreadsheet, measuring a man's love by the thickness of his wallet. It is a classic case of demanding the equality of a modern office, while clinging to the privileges of a medieval princess. So, why does the rest of society react so violently to this? To understand that, you have to look at the world she is living in. Seoul is a city where housing prices have gone through the roof and the cost of living is spiraling out of control. For the average guy working a regular job, being the sole provider for every single date is not just a romantic gesture. It is a mathematical impossibility, and here is the kicker. The very woman demanding this is a vegan. In a culture where almost every social gathering revolves around sharing huge piles of grilled meat, being a vegan is a massive social tax on everyone around you. She expects a man to do all the legwork, find the one specific restaurant that caters to her diet, pay a premium for specialized food, and then foot the entire bill. She is imposing a logistical and financial burden on her partner while refusing to contribute anything to the process she is making 10 times harder. It is like inviting someone to a party, making them bring the music, the lights, and the cake, and then getting mad because they asked you to help blow out the candles. And what happens when these demands actually get met? You would think it leads to a happy relationship, but the irony is that it actually backfires and destroys the very thing she is looking for. This rigid, one-sided financial pressure has created a culture of deep-seated fear and resentment. As men are looking at this situation and realizing that they are being treated like service providers rather than partners, they feel like they are being interviewed for a job where the salary is zero and the expectations are infinite. So what do? They simply stop playing the game. We are seeing a massive wave of men just opting out of the dating market entirely. They would rather spend their time with eye-powered digital girlfriends or just stay home and eat convenience store ramen alone. When you turn love into a business transaction, do not be surprised when the customers decide the price is too high and walk away. It is the cold logic of the market punishing a demand that is fundamentally dishonest. Why do we keep creating this context? Why is this still a thing in the 21st century? It is because our cultural software is glitching. We have moved into an era where women are crushing it in the professional world, but we have not updated our romantic expectations to match. We want all the benefits of progress without giving up the comforts of the past. Men are expected to be modern, emotionally intelligent partners who share the chores, but they are also expected to be traditional providers who pay for everything. It is a double standard that is tearing the social fabric apart. People are terrified of being the sucker in the relationship. Men are scared of being used for their money, and women are scared of being discarded if they are not seen as high-value prizes. Everyone is building these massive fortresses around their hearts and their bank accounts, and then they wonder why they are lonely. So what is the end game here? If this keeps up, the future of dating looks like a weird, lonely comedy. We are heading toward a world where people will probably need to exchange bank statements before they even exchange phone numbers. We might see the rise of romantic contracts that specify exactly how many percentage points of a meal each person is responsible for based on how attractive they are. It sounds ridiculous, but when you treat your partner like a commodity, this is the natural conclusion. We are evolving into a society of perfectly equal individuals who are completely alone. because they could not agree on how to share a $20 lunch. It is a stalemate of egos where nobody wants to be the first one to blink. And while everyone is busy calculating their market value, the actual human connection is just evaporating. Think about it like this. This whole situation is like a person standing in front of a vending machine, screaming at it for being cold and calculating because it won't give them a soda for free. The woman on the show wants the refreshment of love, but she views the cost of the drink as a personal insult to her thirst. She thinks her presence is so valuable that the machine should just recognize her status and drop the can without a single coin being inserted. But the machine does not care about your job title or your lifestyle choices. It just operates on the basic rules of exchange. If you do not put anything in, you do not get anything out. We have turned our hearts into these cold metal boxes, and now we are crying because they will not give us a hug. Is this really what we want? A world where we are so obsessed with not being taken for a fool that we lose the ability to be generous? The real tragedy is that the person who claims to want romance the most is often the one behaving the most like a robot. By calling a man cheap for wanting a fair split, she is actually the one using a calculator to measure his worth. She is filtering for a bank account while complaining that men are filtering for something else. It is a circle of hypocrisy that has no exit. We are all so busy betting each other, checking for red flags and financial stability, that we forget that the whole point of dating is to find someone to build a life with, not someone to subsidize it. The fallout is already everywhere. You can see it in the declining birth rates and the rising number of people who say they have given up on marriage. It is a global trend, but it is hitting its peak in places like Seoul because the pressure is so intense. When the price of admission to a relationship is a public performance of financial submission, a lot of people are just going to stay in the lobby. We are watching the collapse of the traditional dating market in real time, and it is being fueled by these tiny, stupid arguments over who pays for a plate of vegetables. It would be funny if it wasn't so incredibly sad. We have all the technology in the world to connect us, but we are using it to build walls instead of bridges. So, the next time you hear someone complaining about how there are no good men or women left, ask yourself if they are looking for a partner or a patron. Are they looking for a soulmate or a silent investor? Because if we keep treating our dates like business meetings, we are going to end up with a lot of empty boardrooms and very few happy homes. The irony of the romantic tax is that by trying to force someone else to pay it, you end up paying the highest price of all, a life spent entirely alone, staring at a bank balance that can't talk back to you. Feel the truth at dating in Korea. Support the structure. Stay safe in the lounge.